The cheapest version of the M1 iPad Pro is the one that I said just a few days ago is the one that I would probably go with. This smaller model really makes it a very easy choice for something like a productivity or a travel with you notebook size computer. But what are the best accessories that you can get for this demure yet powerful tablet? Let's find out. What's up, everyone? I'm the Everyday Dad, and if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. So what's crazy about this is, I know I say this a lot, but I make videos based on what you all want. So I know there's going to be some angry people in the comments saying, you already did an accessories video for the 12.9 video. Isn't it going to be the same thing? Well, yeah, I mean, they're very similar, but you all asked for it, so here you go. And what's cool about this is, I today went into the office and I brought this as my portable little travel computer, as I did need to attend some meetings, take some notes, and do some work. So I brought this and my accessories. Those are the ones I'm going to recommend to you today. And I've got some cheaper alternatives and some other things that we'll talk about. So first off, we've got the 11-inch M1 iPad Pro. Like I said, this is the best option if you just want something small and portable. The 12.9-inch, it's so big, it's really like becoming, if you're going to go with that size, you might as well have a MacBook, right? But this is small enough that even the MacBook Air really can't touch this for portability, and I really like this. You can see the number one accessory that I would recommend for any iPad is the Magic Keyboard. This keyboard just takes the iPad from a tablet and turns it into a real tool. And the keys are great. We won't go too in depth on this. I've got several videos about this keyboard, but the keys are great. It's got a trackpad that will let you can see, it'll let you move around the cursor and keep you from having to tap the screen all the time. And when you throw it in your bag, it protects the screen. And it's a stand. It pushes it up and gets it out of your way, so you can have it in an ergonomic position to get work done. Yes, it's expensive, but this is just the all-in-one tool that really transforms the iPad into it's not a MacBook, but it is really good. So here's actually the bag that I took with me to work today. You guys see this all the time. I think I get made fun. I assume people make fun of me for this, but this is my cheapo Lenovo Backpack. I'm a very big proponent in the bags that you get of them not being expensive. The reason I say that is when you get big, expensive, flashy technology bags, it just screams out to people, hey, there's expensive stuff in here. So this is like a $15 bag that I bought on Amazon that I use to bring all of my stuff around, because sometimes the tech or the camera or the production equipment that I bring with me is expensive stuff. But if the bag doesn't look like it's carrying too much expensive stuff, well, then you're pretty good. I love this bag. It's super comfortable. It's way more comfortable and way more useful than a cheapo bag should be. I love it. I would talk more about it, but it's only just a bag. There's not too much to talk about. So this is everything that was in the bag with my iPad today. We won't talk about this. This is just my standard notebook. Even though I have the iPad with the pencil, I will forever have a paper notebook with me no matter what I do. I like being able to jot down notes, jot down ideas, jot down thoughts, and there's just something reassuring about paper. I also like grid paper. I'm not an engineer. I'm not any kind of fancy smart person. I just like grid paper. I really like these Moleskin notebooks. I have piles of these because as soon as I fill one up, I grab another one. Wow, this turned into an accessories plus notebook. Always have a notebook if you are a worker. Okay, and then the first thing, I like keeping all of my little accessories in one bag so they don't jumble around, they don't get lost. We've talked a whole bunch about bags in every single video, but I use this one personally from a company called Bagsmart. I bought this on Amazon too. Everything in this video is stuff that I've purchased. None of this stuff is sponsored. So this is just a very nice little tech bag. It's constructed very well, holds everything very securely, has a really nice zipper. I'm kind of a zipper snob. You all know that. But listen, it's got a good bite. It's not very expensive. Keeps all of my little accessories all together. So let's go through all of those little accessories. Because it's an iPad, I do have to kit it out a little bit differently than, say, my MacBook. So I do have a charger in here in case I need to plug this into the wall. So I really like this Ravpower 65-watt charger. Ravpower 65-watt. You do need this cable for it, which is additional stuff to bring, but this charger is really small, but it gives you 2 USB-C and 2 USB-A power delivery that are 65-watt. Plus, sometimes I don't always like the ones that just plug into the wall, because especially if I'm going to the office, I don't really control what the outlook looks like or where the outlook is. So I like having a little bit of reach with my charger. Because of this cable, you plug it into the wall, you can move it a little bit, you can get it moved away from a desk or away from a cabinet or away from a bookshelf. Very nice. This is probably my favorite charger ever made. I have another one of these that is currently powering my camera, my iPad, my above camera. Like these, I love this thing so much. Okay, we got the cable. I guess we'll take the cable out of here too. For dongles, I don't always like to bring a dongle when I have my iPad, because if I need something to get like real work done, I'll bring my MacBook but sometimes I do have to give briefings off the cuff or other things, and I'll need to use my iPad for that. So I do bring a dongle. This one, you can see it's from a company called Anker. It's got HDMI and a couple of USB-A, and then it's got Ethernet. It doesn't have SD card or anything like that, but I don't need that in this specific kit. Yes, the M1 iPad has Thunderbolt 3, so I could use a beefier dongle, but I don't want to. I don't need any of that for this stuff. Like, accessories they're really cool, but you can overdo it really quick, and you don't always need to buy and just have a bunch of stuff with you. I also have the microfiber cloth, always, especially if you're going to have a touchscreen. You should have one of these with you at all times. I mean, I think you should have a microfiber cloth with you at all times. I always wear sunglasses. I always have to clean my sunglasses. My wife always needs her glasses cleaned. My phone needs cleaned. Her phone needs cleaned. Everything needs cleaned. Microfiber. You can buy them for so cheap in big packs on Amazon. I also have an external battery. You can buy, there's so many different brands of external batteries to buy. Here's another product from Anker. This is just a 10,000 milliamp hour battery. It's also got USB-C, USB-A. You can see how much charge you've got left from here. I like this one just because it's small. It fits really nice into this top pouch here, which is, I've got a whole bunch of these external batteries, but I picked this one specifically because it works with this bag. That's the thing about external batteries. You could buy, everybody makes these. McDonald's probably makes an external battery. So just find the one that works for you and the size that works, the price that works. You'll find them literally everywhere. But always have one, especially with an iPad. I don't bring an external battery along when I have my MacBook, but the iPad does not have as good a battery as the MacBook, which is why I have a charger and a battery. I do have some external storage with me because you never know when you need to transfer files for people. So I bring the Samsung T5 with me everywhere. They do have the T7. They have those Ravpower ones that we talked about. I like this one because I've had this for so long. This is what I consider the old reliable. You can buy these now because they're the older generation. You can find these pretty reasonably priced, but it's still an SSD, so it's very fast. It's easy to give this to somebody. They drop it, it won't break. It's USB-C. We've got USB-C on here. I really like having a solid state drive. This is the one that I always carry with me. If I do need faster speeds, I'll get the T7. But again, this is not about really production work. This is not about video production. This is an office type worker or just somebody that's going to school, taking notes, class, stuff like that. This is all the accessories that I would recommend in that situation. Probably going to be in a lot of meetings, might be in some shared space. So I always have my AirPods Pro. These are my favorite headphones of all time. The noise cancellation is great. I use these for running. I use these for work. I use these all over the place. This is my second or third pair. I don't actually remember. I buy one of these. I have a pair of these stored everywhere because they're great. They've got a battery case right here, so even when you're done using them, you can then, ooh, they're so gross. You can tell you use AirPods because they almost immediately become gross. That's embarrassing. We're not going to look in there anymore. So you've got the battery charging case. You can get like 24 hours of charge if you consider how long each AirPod is charged versus how many times you can charge it in the case. It's got a lightning charger here on the back. These are the best. These are the best headphones that you can get. And then you all probably thought I was kidding. You're like, yeah, Gary's not going to bring one of those USB-A to USB-C things in every video. Check it out. I told you, I took this to work today. I always have a USB-C to USB-A connector because you never know. This isn't necessarily for the iPad. This is just for people that you work with that might not know how connections work. You laugh. If you're watching tech videos on YouTube, probably doesn't matter or happen to you very often, but your coworkers that are not as tech savvy, I guarantee you can save the day with one of those cables. They're like cents. You should buy one and definitely have one. So those are all of the accessories that I personally brought with me today, but I did say I'd show you some alternatives because some of these are very expensive. Namely, that Magic Keyboard is expensive. You can save yourself some money by just getting a stand and a keyboard. So look, check it out. Here's just a stand. Here is a keyboard. These are the exact things that we showed in the iPad 12.9-inch video from last week or a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember. But it does essentially the same thing as the Magic Keyboard. It's a stand that gets the iPad up and away from you. And it is, fairness for fairness sake. If you don't like your monitor like right up in your face, this might actually work a little bit better because you can move it. You can articulate it however you want it. And then you can pair it with something like this keyboard. This is an Omoton keyboard that is not the best quality. Like, this is not the highest quality keyboard in the world. But if you're, again, looking for just something small, cheap to take with you, here how clicky that is. This keyboard's great. It's already got, you can see the function control option command. This is laid out for a Mac or for an iPad. It pairs and turns on very easily. You can see that it's got micro USB for charging. It has the inverted T here for the arrow keys. This thing is great. It doesn't move around on the desk. You pair that with this stand, these will only cost you about 30 bucks and you are good to go. If you need a mouse, you can always get a mouse. This is not the cheapest. You could buy one of those Pebbles that we've talked about in the past. But my favorite mouse to use with an iPad is actually the Apple Magic Mouse, because like if you have the Magic Keyboard, right, you've got that trackpad and it has most of the gestures that you can use on the screen of an iPad. Well, if you're not using this Magic Keyboard, the only way you get those gestures is you have to reach over and touch the screen, which if you're working, doing this all the time is going to be a pain in the butt. However, the Magic Mouse, even when you use it on the iPad, maintains a lot of those gestures. You can still scroll up and down, you can still scroll left and right, and it pairs very quickly, very easily, and it's going to use the same charger as your AirPods if you need a lightning connector. I like how powerful this setup can be too, if you don't necessarily want the Magic Keyboard. But let's say you do want an integrated keyboard case, because part of the reason I like the Magic Keyboard is it's a combination case and keyboard. So there are a couple of options. The one that I would probably say go with, if that's what you're looking for, is the Smart Folio Keyboard. It's not as good as the Magic Keyboard. The keys they're fine. They're not as good, but they're good enough. I used one of these for a very long time before the Magic Keyboard came out. I like the Folio Keyboard for the iPad Pro more than I like for the regular iPad, because it still just sits in here like this. It's very easy to use. The one for the regular iPad connects down here, and then you got to do like all this weird like triangle folding thing to get it to work. But you can see here that this still works really well. And even if you wanted this and sometimes you wanted the keyboard and sometimes you wanted it to be in a stand, you could get a mouse and use this as a keyboard and mouse combination, and it wouldn't be that bad either. Look, you can see it right here. Not terrible. Logitech also makes a couple options. I'm not the biggest fan of Logitech's options, especially for the iPad Pros. They're great. The keyboard is one of the best keyboards I've ever used in my life, but it's all right. And if you want, a higher end option for the keyboard, you can always get a Magic Keyboard, Magic Mouse combination, and man, listen how clicky. I just wanted an excuse to type on this a little bit more. This keyboard has been so great. This is actually to the M1 iMac. That Apple's letting me borrow. That has to go back like in a couple of days. I should probably send that back. But yeah, you could get these two if you really want a nice high quality keyboard and mouse. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to say, if this is your M1 iPad, the smallest one, the cheapest one, you're probably looking to save a little bit of money, but you can also still play some games like on I'm pointing to the 12.9-inch M1 iPad. That one, I bought a controller for, but I already have, if you've got a game controller recently, this is my PS5 controller, but I believe even the PS4 and the Xbox, I don't know the Xbox naming conventions, but all the newer generation Bluetooth controllers will work with your iPad, so if you want to play some games, just bring along the controller that you have. You don't necessarily have to go out and buy a PS5 controller to make this work, because it's a little overkill. This controller, I think by itself, is more expensive than the one from last week, but since I already had it, I didn't have to pay for it, so it's cheaper. So use the one that you already have, and it will end up being cheaper. If it's this, great. If not, So yeah, these are all the accessories that I use and that I would recommend for the cheapest version of the M1 iPad Pro. But what about you? Do you use an M1 iPad for work? Do you use any kind of iPad for work? Let me know in the comments. What are some of your favorite work type accessories? I buy a lot of this stuff off of what you all talk about. So please let me know what you use in the comments below. And if you like this video and you're curious how that M1 iPad Pro is holding up after the last 2 weeks, you can find my video about it by clicking right here. Click, 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 click. Thanks for watching.